Paul? Yeah. That corporate espionage? Yes. hmm when I got to Clallam County in 2012, yeah. hmm As I understood it, you had decided to virtualize everybody. Mm. And we were all going to read this top secret virtualization of whatever our thoughts were. Yeah. Mm. Now, I really thought it was stupid. See, I like reading without somebody knowing what I'm reading. Yes. Now, these corporate espionage spies that call themselves government employees, did you have to make the dogs for yourself or were you working for a corporation? See, as I understand it, yes. When you participate in espionage because your pockets are lined with corporate money, yeah, you're actually committing a crime against the United States of America. Now, I told you that I wanted my sons. Yes. You said, well, we're going to enforce court orders that have forgeries on them. Yeah. We're going to enforce court orders that have fraud. Oh. And then you used the state of Washington's guarantee that any person under the age of 21 years old is guaranteed a free education. Yeah. And my sons are not in the wrong grades, even though my wife enrolled them in the wrong grades. When she decided to take the money on Guam, see, I decided to not take the money. I was sitting out in the back of the Tamuning Plaza, yeah, and I had this friend named Manny Mufasa, a really nice person, Catholic. He offered me $1 billion. He asked me, well, if I paid you $1 billion, would you take a letter from one person to another? And I said I wouldn't, because if I work for somebody other than my employer, yes, I'm actually on the payroll of somebody else, and there's a significant conflict of interest. Now, it was somewhat frustrating for Manny because he did try to corrupt me in many different ways. I just wouldn't eat the cake. Isn't that right, Heidi? Ooch. But I thought that when you were employed in a government, you had an obligation to not work for anybody else. Yes. And no one could pay you any gratuity to fix any court hearing. To charge an innocent American citizen with any crime. You couldn't fabricate evidence against those that you accused. Yes. And you sure couldn't make fraudulent mental health evaluations. Now, these spies that call themselves government employees, Squim Police Department, yeah, well, you just had to be on them and you had to screw them. If I thought about all the money that was spent on the technology that you've been researching, yeah, exactly whose pocket does the technology end up in? Yes, after you experiment on the population. Corporation. Now, let's say that the United States military did find out that you were sewing in. Yes. And your idea was, well, we just have to do this because I, as an American citizen, don't understand the importance of cloning technology. Don't I? Well, as espionage, yes, as spies for corporation that you're researching and developing various technologies so that you can be on the population. Yeah, I would say that corporate espionage is a very significant crime against the United States of America. And I'd like to have you tried for it. Pooh. Now, I was reading in the Ombudsman, yeah, the Ombuds, yes, that the authors of the Washington State Constitution, yes, recognize the importance of a full education for people who live in Washington. Now, many educational opportunities exist for students in Washington. Do what you can to ensure that children get the education that they deserve. Now, just looking through it, I thought that this due process rights of my sons, where you issued a dissolution of marriage, without me receiving any notice of court hearings. Yeah. You gave custody of my sons to a cult. Yes. And then my wife happened to be involved in a group of individuals that were using technologies that were being paid for by corporations. Now, when you think about it right now, when you think about it, exactly who's been paying the payroll? Well, obviously the taxation, the coffers. Yes. It's a big problem because you can only raise taxes to a certain point before people get upset about how the money is being used. Now, there are certain rights that students have before you can expel them from school. Yes. But I would say these same rights apply to what school they go to. Yes. And how involved their parents are. See, I sent an email that a student has a basic right to an equal educational opportunity. I find that it's unequal that my sons are graduating 19 and a half years old. They're not receiving an equal educational opportunity. And for as many emails as I sent to the Office of Supervision of Public Instruction, yes, and the employees in that institution, yes, I'm thinking that your refusal to enforce the due process of the law because of the fraudulent issuance of protection orders, I'm really going to sue the fuck out of you today. I mean, I'm going to.